but I thought I would use it as an opportunity to discuss protein bars and supplements generally and the amount of processing they go through. So I'll do that at the end of this video. And I always used to ask myself, how can something this tasty, that tastes so sweet, be only 1.3 grams of added sugar? What's going on YouTube, it's Jason and welcome to day number 56 and day number 3 of my Razor Sharp series. So it's unofficially day 13, but I thought I'd call it day 3 because the first 10 days of this cutting cycle, I was eating a lot of sugar, and so I didn't really have full control over my calories and macros like I do now. On the topic of Razor Sharp, I realized I didn't update you guys about my food yesterday because of the steroid video. So yesterday's food was pretty much the same as the day before. The only difference was that I swapped out the lasagna with cow pad rice, salmon and broccoli. Now I wanted to speak about something because the cow pad rice was made with white basmati rice, and normally I wouldn't really eat white rice or white anything, to be honest, because typically it's more processed than brown. But in terms of glycemic index, you only really need to be super conscious of it if you're diabetic. If you're not diabetic, it really is about the total meal and the glycemic index of the total meal. So for example, white rice might be high on the glycemic index, but because I had it with salmon and broccoli, which are super low GI, the meal probably ends up a low to medium GI. Once again, we don't oversimplify things, we apply context and think outside the box. In terms of my activity, I didn't manage to go to the gym yesterday because the steroid video pretty much took up the whole day. But this morning I went for a walk with mum. She looked like a pink Power Ranger, bless her. And then later on, I'll be going to the gym to train legs and then doing a double session tomorrow to make up for it. In terms of other news, my client got me a couple of protein bars, which I thought was lovely and I really appreciate it. But I thought I would use it as an opportunity to discuss protein bars and supplements generally and the amount of processing they go through. So I'll do that at the end of this video. Anyways, let's get on with the day. So my day started as usual with natural yogurt, granola and maple syrup. Then I had buttered sourdough and eggs. Next meal was same as yesterday, so cow pad rice, salmon and broccoli. Pre-workout, I had some of the protein chocolate that my client got me. It was pretty decent, to be fair. So just on my way to the gym now to train legs. I was thinking, I never actually showed you guys a photo of Yinka or Mr. X. I was getting so flustered trying to get the video out yesterday that I missed out the photos. So just for your reference, this is Mr. X. As you can see, very, very good shape. Been training for, 30, coming up to 35 years. Really good muscle bellies. And that is Yinka. Yinka is absolutely massive. Like, genuinely, it's funny, when I competed back in October, I didn't know who Yinka was, but he was at the same show that I was at. And I actually remember seeing him on stage and being like, this guy is an absolute weapon. So yeah, funnily enough how like paths cross and collide. But yeah, these boys are big boys, they know what they're talking about. If you haven't watched the video already, this is a plug to go and check it out. Start off with leg press. Let's get warm. Working sets. Seated leg curls. Leg extensions. Hip thrusts. Calf raises. Post-workout was jollof, chicken breast, spinach, kale and shiitake. Then I had a peanut butter bagel and I finished the day with fruit. So I wanted to talk about protein bars and protein supplements generally. I've been on a journey over the last 3 or 4 years to improve my gut health and my health overall. And so one rule that I've started to follow is that I try not to eat foods with more than 5 ingredients in. Obviously, you guys see me eat Biscoff, but I eat that stuff with my eyes open. My issue is people consume products like this and this on a day-to-day basis, like they depend on protein supplements and products. Now, to be honest, protein, whey protein, I use it from time to time. You guys see me use it in my porridge and sometimes even just having it on its own. I use it like a supplement, i.e. I may have it depends on how much I need it, but maybe twice a week, 3 times a week max. Some weeks I go without it completely. Some months I go without it completely because I try and get as much of my protein from food as possible, because a lot of this food, protein shakes included, has what we call emulsifiers in, and the long-term side effects of emulsifiers haven't been documented. So yes, short-term they are quote-unquote safe and they are favorable on blood sugars, but we don't know the long-term use. So over the past year, I've been a lot more strict on things that I would consider processed and whether or not I consume them. And that includes quote-unquote healthy foods. For example, a lot of these products, all 3 of these included, have what we call soy lecithin or soy lecithin, however you pronounce it. Essentially, it's an emulsifier, but when you consume it in high amounts, it actually irritates the lining of your gut. And that is also true for sugar alcohols. A lot of people don't realize this, but when they say something like this is high protein, low sugar, when you look at the back, what you'll see is that the actual sugars in it are 1.3. And I always used to ask myself, how can something this tasty, that tastes so sweet, be only 1.3 grams of added sugar? That's because it has sugar alcohols in it, and you can see that from what's called the polyols. So if you look at the back, it'll say carbohydrates, sugars, of which polyols. The polyols are alcohol sugars, and this has 17 grams in. When you look into the scientific studies, when a person consumes over 20 grams of polyols or sugar alcohols on a regular basis, they can get a disrupted GI or a disrupted stomach. And do you know what? I never used to notice this. There was a level of bloatedness that I used to live with whenever I consumed protein products. When I stopped taking them as much, like a day-to-day thing, I realized that that bloatedness eased. Now, granted, having done a 30-day sugar experiment, the bloatedness I get with protein bars is nothing like the bloatedness I get when I consume processed sugar, but it's still more bloatedness than I live with now. And that's because these supplements and foods don't form part of my day-to-day. I introduce them as and when I need a protein top-up or as and when I fancy it, but they don't form what I call the spine of my nutrition. So, in summary, protein supplements can be good, but I wouldn't have them every single day. Like, I wouldn't let it form part of the spine of your nutrition, like the main nutrition. I would introduce them as and when you need it for a top up or you fancy it. Maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. When it comes to protein shakes versus protein bars, I tend to lean more towards protein shakes when I do have them. And that's because when you look at the back of this, it has like 4 or 5 ingredients in. When you look at something like this, it is incredibly tasty, no doubt. But when you look at the ingredient list, it's literally like a dissertation. It's like 10 to 15 ingredients, and some of the stuff in there I don't even recognize. And so I tell all my clients that the stuff that they put in this to make it taste and feel like a chocolate bar, that's where the processing comes from. A protein shake is literally milk and egg powdered and then flavored. So there's much less processing typically that goes into it. A protein shake that would match this level of processing would be a ready-made protein shake. A lot of ready-made protein shakes, again, to make them tasty and to make them not go off, they have again like 15 ingredients in. So as I said, it's been a journey for me. I did the gut makeover back in 2020 and I learned a lot more about gut health and eating gut friendly foods. And so I started to pull things out of my diet that upset my stomach. And even things I didn't realize, like this, once I took them out of my diet in terms of my day-to-day, I noticed a difference in terms of bloatedness. So I'm not here to demonize any of these foods. They are far better than some things on the market. But as a rule of thumb, when it comes to scientific research, gut health, mental health, and general wellness, I would try and keep the things that you consume down to 5 ingredients or less. That way you know it's minimally processed. So, scores on the doors, total calories were 2,846. Macros are up there in the corner. So that's everything, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like it if you did. Subscribe to my channel to follow me on this journey. Don't forget to check out the steroid video, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Oh, one more thing. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys want to see the full steroid interviews. I did about 1.5 hours of interviewing between the 3 guys, and I condensed it down to about 18 minutes for the video because I didn't want to bore anyone. But they are very insightful, and so if any of you want to see the full thing, let me know in the comments. See you guys tomorrow.